business owner, do you ever notice that sometimes you resist the things that are really good for you? Well, what if you knew that doing one thing really well would actually open up more profit, more of the impact you want to have, and really take away from stress? It's Melanie Benson here, America's leading small business optimizer, and this weekly podcast is all about the little things that make a huge difference in making your business more profitable, more powerful, and more fun to run, so to speak. And today's guest is someone who found us that systems was really a valuable key to running a smoother business. But I know so many of my clients, especially it seems like more of the people who want to make a difference and are really creative, they resist systems. So I hope we'll all get some inspiration today from Jason. So let me introduce Jason to you before we jump in. Jason Silverman is the CEO of Powerful Words Character Development, the world's #1 character education system. Dance sites done right, and all start cheer sites, and the host of the Real Deal podcast, which I was invited to be a part of recently, and was such a stellar interview. So fun to have a fellow podcasting host here today to share some of his secrets. So hi, Jason.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I'm just, it's always fun, I think, to learn from other people who are just as committed to making their businesses work better. What did they learn? What's working for them? And also, just kind of being able to peek behind the scenes of a business that really is successful, especially one that has a business owner who has multiple talents and multiple businesses that he's running, because there's definitely a temptation to get overwhelmed or maybe to have things go a little awry when you have a lot of businesses, but you've been able to master this by using systems. So we'll dig into that. But, let's talk today about powerful words character development, if I can even say it properly. You have to be able to say the business to have the business, right?
That's the first rule.
Exactly. So I'm curious, tell us a little bit about what that company is and what the catalyst was for you to start that business.
Great question. So, gosh, I need to step back a sec because I started, I went to business school, I did that whole thing, wore nice suits and everything, and then really got frazzled and burnt out. Spent 9 years on a municipal bond trading desk, and that was enough to kill anybody. So I did what pretty much everybody with a business degree does, is I quit. And
Wait, you quit the business degree?
I quit I quit working for in the finance industry.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
It was great. It was great money. It was a great experience. It just wasn't great for me.
Okay.
So I went in and I said I needed a change, and I opened a martial arts academy.
Of course.
Completely the illogical thing to do. But it was something I've been passionate about my whole life, and I always felt good when I taught, rather than feeling cruddy when I was trading bonds. So I went through and I opened this martial arts school with my wife, and we struggled, especially in the beginning. Didn't really know what the business was or how to sell that business or really who my ideal client was. All those things that I think many business owners struggle with. And it occurred to us that we were really there to change lives and make a difference. And I went out and I bought everything that was out there available for personal development, really in the after-school world. I brought it home, and my wife, who was finishing her PhD in child development, looked at it and said, "Ugh, there are a lot of holes here. I don't agree with this. Conceptually, this is wrong." So I simply said, "Can you do better?" "Sure." So she went through and basically from the ground up built this program for our school, and we completely did a full 180. All of a sudden that became our unique selling proposition. We were the place that people brought their children to become better people. And that was way more interesting to parents and important to parents than going to the place where they taught kids how to fight. So we started marketing that, and we really started working that just in the confines of our school. We had no intent on selling it. And then we started exploding. The school really grew, and I'm somebody who always needs whatever the next challenge is going to be. And I looked at it and said, here we go. I can impact about 300 kids' lives per month at my school, or if we let this little secret out that we've been building, we can impact millions. And to shortcut it for you, I sold the martial arts business, kept the Powerful Words character development system, and started to launch it within first the martial arts industry, and then gymnastics and dance and cheer and swim and a whole bunch of others. So that's primarily what it was. That's how I got there. And that, as far as the journey to making that successful, that's a whole other kettle of fish that we can dive into.
So maybe we'll pull the curtains back on that a little bit in a minute. But before we get there, I just want to get like a real picture in my mind, and I think for our listener, what is it that when you get this message out, because it sounds like this not only is a heart-based message, but it's really you're able to make a transformational impact on young people. Is that what I'm understanding?
100%.
So let's a real clear picture of what's the problem that this young person's having, or what's the possibility that you're connecting them with through this this technology or this training that you guys do.
Well, it's really twofold because our client, we have two clients. We've got the school or studio owner themselves, and then we've got their clients.
Right.
So, granted, the only person who's or really financially investing is the studio owner. We're helping them by giving them the right way to possibly, really transform a kid's life. As far as the kids and teens and adults that are impacted by this, really the problem solved is they're finally figuring out who they want to be and how they can get there. I mean, it's pretty simple. Our program's delivered in little 5-minute lessons on a daily basis at a school. So it's not this big, long process. However, it's the cumulative effect of continuously talking about respect or discipline or courtesy or goal setting or integrity, whatever that powerful word is. It allows people to really connect with it in a way that they probably never have before. Normally, the only time a kid is talking about respect is when there's been a breach of one. And because of that, we're now finally able to start to talk about it before there's been a breach of one. And to talk about what the value and benefit is to being that type of person, be it a respectful person, be it somebody who is honest, be it somebody who is persistent. These are all the skills of a leader and a winner, and that's what we want to provide to them.
I love that. So, the character development is how do you develop the character in a young person, but your vehicle is through places they're already congregating, school, they're training, dance classes, and so you're enabling the person who already has this business teaching youth and giving them a way to go deeper with them and build them up. Because I've seen that, I don't have my own kids, but I've seen how kids can be really destructive with each other if they don't know how to handle some of the conflicts and challenges that they're facing as young kids.
Well, and as an instructor, as somebody who has that amazing opportunity to work with these kids, we finally have their attention. What are we going to say to them? We always, one of the things I always used to tell my students is you're either going to rise or fall to the level of your training. And if I can keep your training up here as far as your character is concerned, you're always going to rise to it. It's only going to make you a better person. It was logical for us to go after, to fish in the ponds where the fish already were.
Beautiful.
And if they're already at a martial arts school or a dance studio or a cheer gym or what have you, it just made logical sense. And really, the primary client initially to us was the studio owner. So providing them with an opportunity to really teach something that was in addition to the physical skill that they were already teaching was very important.
So can you give us an example of a technique or a way in which you teach this through the studios to the students? Like, give us something real that we can get our head around today.
Absolutely. I mean, we would do something like, one of the components of the program is what we call our power chats. And they're little 3 to 5 minute scripted lesson plans that we provide to the studio owners that they would read from a script if necessary, or interact with that script and then interact with their students. And it might be something as simple as, all right kids, today, who can remember what the powerful word of the month is? It's goal setting, sir. Fantastic, goal setting. Who can remind me what goal setting means? We've given the kids the opportunity to give us what the definition that they've been taught. And then we literally just have a conversation. All right, let's talk about goal setting. What kind of goals have you set for yourself? What kind of, or what steps have you broken them down into? How far along the path are you on to achieving your goal? Most importantly, after you achieve your goal, what's going to be the next step for you? Well, I'm going to celebrate. After you celebrate, what's going to happen? I'm going to set my next goal. Little things like that. These are things I wish I had growing up.
Hmm.
So that's, I mean, is where the rubber meets the road. Very simply, a plain scripted lesson plan. Um, for the business owner, again, it's now, we can franchise prototype it for it so that every single one of their staff members sounds the exact same. They all sound like they've got a PhD in child development, even though they probably don't.
That's great. So again, I guess this would be an example of a system that you found that you're able to leverage. And I love leverage. So leveraging a community that's already serving your target audience. And this is one of the things I teach my clients all the time. Instead of trying to go build your own marketing funnel, go find people that already serve your audience and partner with them. So if you could think of maybe or share of like what was one way that really worked for you to find these communities that were already serving your ultimate end user?
Great question. So the first thing that I found was I needed to make sure that anybody who was going to use this was the kind of person that I wanted to work with. Um, because the
Okay.
last thing I wanted was somebody to buy this and use it for marketing, but not deliver on the promise. Because that made them look bad, that made us look bad. So I started with my friends, and I
Ah.
had plenty of friends within the industry, and I made a lot of phone calls. I said, "Hey, can I show you something? I don't want any money from you. I just want your honest feedback. Can you take a look? If you want to try it, if you just want to look through it, I'd really appreciate it." And a couple folks were like, "Hey, I love this." A couple folks said, "I don't understand it." Other folks said, "Wow, if it looks better, I'd want this." All valuable feedback to me. And then about a week after I did that, I sent an email to one of my mentors and just said, and this is the valuable, so valuable. Really the reason for having, whether it's a mastermind group or a coach, this was one of my business mentors, and I said, "Listen, this is what we're doing now. I would love for you to share it with anybody else that you're working with. Would you do that for me?" And he said, "Sure." He sent out an email, and we had 64 clients the next morning.
Wow.
And I was like, "I guess
Oh
there's a business
goodness.
for this." um,
That's
uh,
great.
it was as easy as that. Now, granted, I mean, it was 5 years in development, so everyone's like, "Oh, you guys were an overnight success." Of course we were. In 5 years, there were a whole lot of overnights.
I like that. Exactly. And I heard something I think a lot of people are unwilling or maybe have some fear about or resistance about, and that is pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and engage. And I think a lot of people resist that, but it sounds
Mhm.
like it's the personal connection that you had with friends or the personal connection you had with somebody that you thought could give you valuable feedback, taking that feedback in and then really making sure that what you were delivering met their needs and it was framed in a way that they could say yes to it.
Well, absolutely, and quite honestly, I don't view my clients as clients. I view them as family members, and that's
Aw.
really important. If I don't, if I didn't feel comfortable picking up the phone and calling any single one of my clients, I'm probably in the wrong business.
Mm.
So for me to call my mentors or call other peers in my industry and say, "Would you look at this?" I mean, what's the worst they're going to say? No, and then I'm in the exact same place that I'm in now. So I've lost nothing except for a 12-second phone call. Just do it. Anybody who's ever been scared of picking up the phone and calling somebody, um, the system I have for that is write down like, and I have a little book that I keep, and it's my most unpleasant tasks book. It's pretty simple. And every morning, the first thing I do before I start any other work is I do one of my most unpleasant tasks because I look at it. The day can only get better from there. It really can. It's a very simple system, and it used to be making those phone calls. Maybe there was a client problem or some issue that was not going to be all, rainbows and sunshine. Um, get used to it. As far as making those calls, get yourself used to it. If you're going to be successful, it's all about communication. And if you're scared of communication, um, my best piece of advice is get over it. Nobody's going to bite you.
Love it.
Especially,
That's
I'm
great,
in the martial
Jason.
arts industry, so we're trained to hit each other, right? So worst case scenario, I do get hit. It's okay
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
It's well worth doing and getting good at.
Okay, good. I like it. So let's go a little bit deeper behind the curtain here. And, I think it's one of the least talked about things overall, but it's also the thing we all share, and that's the challenges that we face when we're growing our business. And you kind of alluded to the fact that yes, it was 5 years in the making, and then we were an overnight sensation. But I know you hit some challenges along the way, some things that you had to overcome to really make this thing work and to hit a successful stride. What do you think was one of your biggest challenges as an entrepreneur?
The key biggest goof up, and I know I'm not alone in this, was pricing mistakes.
Ah, yes, I've
We,
had a few
we
of
always
those.
undervalue what we do and overvalue what everybody else does, right? So I was absolutely no different. Um, I had absolutely no reason for my price point, none at all. I couldn't justify it. If you said, "Well, Jason, why does it cost this?" I would have said, because that's the number I came up with."
Threw a
Now,
dart at the wall and it stuck.
yeah, barely, barely, barely. So, and because we did that, we started at a very low price point. Um, and it was the worst thing I could have done for my clients, which kind of sounds weird to say, right? Because it was so inexpensive, it didn't hurt them if they didn't use it. So
Ah,
it's always, it's the key to success, right, is doing those little things over and over and over again. But they're not hard to do, but they're also not hard not to do. And because I made it inexpensive, nobody said, "Listen, we have to use this. We're investing XYZ amount of money. We better implement." And because it was so little, we had a bunch of clients and we were making an okay monthly stream. However, then a server blew. Then somebody hacked into 17 of my websites. Then I wound up with a $15,000 tech bill. And all of a sudden, all the profits went away. So that was a huge, huge, huge mistake. That was like one of the biggest I think we made. We rectified that really quick. We went from $39.99 per month at our base level program to $147.97 per month, almost overnight, when losing close to nobody.
that was what I was curious about is when you adjusted to really, make it make more sense for you and to really get some skin in the game for your clients. You didn't really lose very many people. And so I think that might give other people some inspiration to price correct.
Well, and again, I did it with a personal touch. So I didn't just send them the blanket email, "You've been paying this, and now you're paying this because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to price things." That doesn't work out all that well. Instead, I called every single client and just said, "Hey, it's Jason from Powerful Words. How you doing? How's everything going? I need to ask a favor. Very simple. I have mispriced our program. I am no longer able to provide it at this rate. Now, that being said, if it proves to be a financial hardship for you, I will eat the loss, and you can stay aboard at whatever rate. The new rate is $147.97, or an upgraded program for this. Are you able to help me out?" Some people are like, "Listen, I just can't do it. I'm either going to quit." Not too many, but other people said, "I can't do 147, but I can do 100. I appreciate it. Thank you. Anything you can do to help." And I literally went down that phone list over and over and over. I will say I got much better at it, the longer I did it. But it was great to connect with everybody and say, "Hey, listen, I goofed up. This is where I'm at. Is there any way that you can help me?" It makes you a real person. I had a couple people like, "I really appreciate your honesty." So that was a bit of a humbling experience for me.
I bet. And I appreciate you sharing that because you know what? You are not alone. I know I've made pricing mistakes. Usually I found myself actually overpricing. But, I find that this is a really common place. And I can't tell you how many people are underpricing, and the fear of changing it is huge. So just hearing that they're not alone is going to be, somewhat of maybe a leveler in the game.
It really is.
So speaking of games, I personally have found that there is a pivotal moment in my trajectory as a business owner, and it's almost like a game-changing moment. Something that really kind of changes the trajectory of everything. It's like, and sometimes it's something that we've learned. It could be something that, you kind of like see something happening and you go, why am I not doing that? It's just really like that everything's different from that moment on. Do you have one of those?
I do. I
Yeah.
absolutely do. I mean, I remember sitting and looking at my client list and thinking about we were putting a marketing piece together, and we'd always marketed our program as a student retention piece, as a way really to motivate and keep people there longer. Um, and then it really hit me that that's not it. I mean, that's one of the things. However, truly what our business is it's a full unique selling proposition, and this is actually what you get. There's lead generation, there's lead conversion, with a full solution for every single one of them. It's really way bigger than I had thought it was, and the minute I stopped thinking in terms of just this one component of their business, all of a sudden the net widened to include so many more, so many more people. And it also allowed us to think outside of the martial arts world, because obviously initially for me that was what the world I was a part of, and that's where I thought we had to stay. Completely inaccurate. You know, I forgot who told me. It may have been a coach, it may have been at a conference, wherever it was someone had said, you know, are you sure your who is really your who? I went, probably not. You know, there's more to this. So what else can we do once we've actually found success and built the systems around it? Can I take that success and then stamp it to the next industry? And who else can we help? And who else do I want to work with?
So instead of looking for more things to offer to one marketing channel, you realized that your power was taking the thing that worked well and then rebranding it or repositioning it in other marketing channels and going wide. And I think that's a great strategy for exponential growth, because many of us are like, well, I got to create all these new products. To me, that's the most expensive thing you can do. Keep creating new stuff. If you can take what you're doing and do it well and then find other audiences, I think that's one of the best ways to upload your or to explode your profits quickly and keep your maybe your production time, and that it's so long between the idea and making it profitable, as you were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Well, but it's you're so spot on in that, because what I initially found was how many more things can I offer to the same group of people, and then you get seen as a pariah. Instead,
Yes.
what I provide works. Why do I need to provide more? If somebody wants more, they can work with me one-on-one in a coaching type of situation, in a mastermind group with a group of other like-minded people. But there's really no reason for me to cram more things into them just for the sake of trying to get more money out of them. I would way rather find a group of other people who also need that solution and brand it towards them, because now you've already built all the systems to it. It's literally a stamp. It's just boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. Who's next? Acquire the list, gain some affinity, and let it fly. You know, we've
So
done this in business after business.
So what helped you do that? Like, what was the key to being able to take the system that worked well in one audience and then move it into other audiences without, I'm gonna say without skipping a beat, but I'm sure there were some beats you had to, make. But what was the best thing that you did to make that happen fast?
Well, I mean, truly the best thing, even to take a little step backwards, one of the things I did when I owned the martial arts school is I was heading to a conference in Vegas, and my wife had actually bought me a book before. She's like, "Oh, just take a look and read this," and it was the E-Myth Revisited.
Ah, yes.
And because I was a little frustrated with what was going on, I was going to this industry conference, and um, I read it. I read it all the way through. I landed at McCarran Airport and went to go find a payphone, if anybody remembers what those are, and actually called the E-Myth Academy and said, "How do I enroll? I don't care what it costs. I want this." And it took, what, 4.5 years, and finished the mastery program. And they really beat into my head the importance of franchise prototyping whatever you're doing, so that you've got systems that run everything. You know, one of the things that I always found was you can't manage people, but you can manage systems. And if I could just build the systems to make this particular little business run, I can manage that, and then I can train somebody to manage that while I'm growing something else. And that's really what we did. You know, we systematized it to the point where all the emails that were going out were all set. All the webinars, all the audios, everything was done. You know, we did our live segment every month, but everything else was done. Our curriculum was created every month. It was always on a right-on-time system. It was easy. As far as skipping a beat, we definitely hit some bumps in the road every time we entered a new industry. And to be perfectly honest, every single industry is going to have its nuances.
Mm-hmm.
So give yourself a year. I think where most people goof is they find success in one industry, move to another, and then jump out real fast right before they get successful. You know,
Yes.
you have to lay the seeds first. You got to plant them. You got to add some fertilizer. You got to add some more water. Keep going, keep going, keep going, and then it blooms. It takes time.
Yeah, and I like what you said about recognizing that most people are jumping out too fast. And I think overall, I see so many entrepreneurs, they start something, they just start to get it to be successful, and then they're like, I don't know if I like this anymore. I'm bored. I'm not feeling juicy in it anymore. It's not exciting. And then they bail out and they start the process all over again before they ever really reap the rewards of the effort. And I'm so glad
And
that
it's
you
so
said that.
expensive. It's
It
so expensive
is.
because I always viewed that like I'm a finance guy. So like everything to me was a line item, and the biggest line item was educational expense. What does it
Hmm.
cost me to educate the industry as to why I should be breathing? Um, it's going to take, how many conferences did you speak at? You know, how many emails are you sending? How many phone calls are you just making? You know, you can hire a telemarketing firm to make those calls for you. You can pick up the phone and smile and dial. How's it going? I'm Jason Silverman. I'm the CEO of Powerful Words Character Development. We do this in the martial arts industry. I've noticed a number of clients coming in from the cheer world. Is this something that could be beneficial for you? I'm not looking to sell anything. I just like to show this to you. Is this of interest to you? Oh, okay. I mean that's how we did things. It's probably more labor intensive than most people expect it to be,
Yeah.
especially since I'm the systems guy, but you got to do it work.
If it's 16, I guess it was probably 16 years ago when I first started talking about having my own business and I was still working for the Fortune 500 company. I remember one of my friend's dads got this book, handed it to me, and he said, "This book will make everything work." And it was the E-Myth book. What did I do? Chucked it in like a stack of books somewhere. And I didn't even look at it again for a long time. And somebody brought it up again once I'd started my business. And I remember thinking, like, boring, like, so not interested. Oh my God. When I was ready for it and I read it, I wished I would have read it earlier. It really revolutionized my entire thought process about business. So I'm glad you brought
Well,
that up.
I remember leafing through it initially when my wife bought it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll put it in my bag. But I was like, I landed on a page, and we're talking about a bakery, and
Yeah,
this
you're
is
like,
a
what does this
different
have to do with
size.
me?
I'm thinking, I own a martial arts academy. Could
Yeah.
not have been more wrong. So
I'm
yeah.
so different than this book is talking
Oh yeah,
about.
my business is different. That wouldn't work in my industry, in my state, in my town, for
Exactly.
my blah 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 blah. Zip it.
Oh my
Build your
God.
systems. I mean, and I think everybody, regardless of the size of the business, and I'm sure you hear this as well. Well, I don't need to build systems. It's really just me. You know, and I had this conversation with a client earlier this morning who had said, um, you know, what I like to do is once a day I just pick up the phone and call a random client. How's it going? What's there anything I can do to help you today? And for what it's worth, that system has proved its weight in gold.
Mm.
Um, I have found people who are thrilled with what we're doing, people who have not been implementing, and this was the kick they needed to get it, or people who have had a bad experience for some reason, and I was able to actually know about it before they decided to quit. So, folks, if you do own a business, smile and dial, one call a day, real easy. But I'd call them, and he had just said, I don't need systems to run my school. It's just me. And my answer was like, well, what happens when you're 90? Or what happens if you don't want to do this anymore? What happens if you
Hmm.
get run over by a bus?
Or you get sick.
Yeah, or you want to, heaven forbid, take a vacation. You know, all this can be done. And odds are it could probably be done better than you can, um, if you allow somebody the opportunity to do so.
Well said. Okay, so I'm really curious with everything we talked about before, if you have like a mantra or a quote that is like a guiding light for you as you've been building your business.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky, the great one, always said, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take."
Mm.
Um, and every morning I think about what shot I'm going to take. You know, what do I want to aim at? Is there something that I could do today that can put me further than I was at yesterday? And lots of them are misses. They are. Or they don't make sense, or it doesn't come to fruition. But some of them aren't. So I think that's always been a thing of mine where it's like, well, what if? What if it does work? Can I try this? What shot will I take today? Um, and that's really guided both my business and my regular life. I like to do that with my wife. You know, what can I do today, to, make our relationship stronger, have more fun, whatever. And
Aw.
it makes life more fun that way.
I
I
knew
do
there's a reason I like you, Jason.
it. Again, I do it with my kids. I do it with my wife, whatever. Where it's like,
Aw.
hey, there is something really cool that we can do here. And that way, if you're always looking for what's next and what can be done, good things are going to happen. Some bad stuff too, occasionally, but
Yeah.
that's really teeny tiny.
Yeah, especially if you look at the trajectory of our life,
Hmm.
the things that are bad, it's how this is my take on it, is how we respond to them and react to them that, really makes them feel less, important in the overall scheme of life. Because, yeah, you're right. Things are going to happen, but it's our choice how we respond to them. And we can make them a bad thing and they take over our lives, or we can make them, like just something we learn from and then find the good in it.
Absolutely, 100% agreed.
Yeah, all right. Way to go, Jason.
There you go.
So, what's next for Jason and the businesses that you're
Uh,
excited about?
I'm excited. A couple of really cool things right now. First one is I launched this podcast, gosh, about 3 months ago. I'm in love, absolutely. I get to speak with amazing people like you, and I get a chance to bring even more cool new info,
Hmm.
both to my own brain, selfishly speaking, as well as to the brains of my listeners and my clients. So I love that. That makes me thrilled. And um, for one of my other businesses, we run a bunch of website businesses in the after school activity world, whether it's dance sites done right or all star cheer sites. Um, we recently, I'd asked my business partner, who's the techie guy, rock star techie guy, but he had, I said, I need an app, both for my wife, I need an app for myself, and I need you to create it, and I need it, tomorrow. Um,
Of course.
and he's used to things like that. He just shakes his head. And he came back and said, this is really interesting. We can build this platform and do this. And so again, one of my morning shots was, let me send an email out to my current clients and see if anybody also wants an app for their business. And we started doing this, and we had like 40 people who were like, yeah, I'll take one. When can I have it? So we launched that arm of our business, again, off of just a shot. Um, and it's wild because everyone's really, really excited. It helps them to, again, better engage with their clients. And we're having fun with it.
What
So
does the app do? I didn't quite catch it.
so basically, our apps provide, really for the after school world or for speakers or forever, better fan engagement. So now
Hmm.
you can actually, instead of just Facebooking or emailing, you can do the push notification thing. So now you look at your
Right.
phone, it's like, oh, I got a message from Melanie telling me about, okay, I'm going to be in LA or I'm going to be here, whatever. That was really neat. There was different retail opportunities. One of my clients is doing an average of $16,000 in retail per month out of her cheer gym. Um, when I showed her the app, she's like, I can tie in my pro shop? Yeah. She's like, that's got to be good for another 5 or 8 grand a month. Marvelous. She's like, so if it's less than that, I'll buy it.
Like, I think I can get that for you for less.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could make that happen. So again, we're having fun, and I'm always looking for, what's the next thing that is actually going to move people forward. I'm probably presented with 3 or 4 things a week of something we could sell or
Hmm.
do, and I always look at them like, I don't see how that serves. Like,
Yeah.
how does that really build somebody's business, and which system does this fall under? Is it a lead generation system? Is it a lead conversion system? Is it client fulfillment? Where does that fall in? And once we know that, and I actually see that it does work, then I get excited about it. This is one of those things where I'm like, wow, these are really cool. We're building one right now for my wife for her speakers business. So just something
Cool.
to
We're going to have to talk more about this app thing because I've been thinking about doing one myself. So I'm glad you brought that up.
there you go. Well, I know a guy.
You know a guy who knows a guy. All right, awesome. So, Jason, where can everybody find you?
Best place to find me is on my home website, which is www.jasonmsilverman.com, Jason, M like Mike, Silverman.com. You can find my podcast there. You can find links to a bunch of the other businesses there, and I would like to think that there's some pretty good information to share as well.
I love it. I think it's great. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And any tips and strategies that our listener, if you're listening in today, I want to hear, like, what was something that you can put into action? Was there an aha moment, something that was like an insight for you? Be sure to share it below in the comments, or if you're listening on iTunes, you can put a little note there and rate us in iTunes and share something you loved about the show today. So we'll be back next week with another really great guest expert who's going to share with us more tips on how to optimize your business. I'm Melanie Benson Strick, Small Business Optimizer, and Jason Silverman, thank you so much for being with us today. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.